Thank you very much. And it's really kind of interesting to hear somebody read that about you, and I think, wow, she sounds pretty good. I once had a friend of mine help me put together some material, and she said, Lynda Austin is a world-renowned. And I said, world-renowned? And she said, well, yeah. She said, you've got a big following in Canada. I said, well, that's just because I have friends up there. Well, yeah, but, you know. And she said, you've worked with somebody in, haven't you done readings for people in Australia? I said, yeah. And there was that Indian doctor in UK. Didn't you do that? I go, well, yeah. And she goes, honey, that's the world. So I think that it helped me become aware of our not always being okay with who we are or seeing ourselves as magnificent as we are. I think it's kind of funny because when Gary sent me the email asking if I could fill in this week, I said, absolutely, love to. And when I got here, somebody said, oh, well, Patty Peterson's name was out there. So I said to Gary, okay, let me get this straight. I wasn't number 2. I was actually number 3 that you asked. We have this idea, you know, I wanted to be sure that you weren't going to be disappointed that Kat wasn't here. Now I realize that some of you are going to be disappointed because I'm not Patty Peterson, and that's hard to live up to. So I actually was, before I came over, thinking about who am I? So to have someone read my own words back to me, because I wrote that on my website, was interesting. But what I want to talk to you about today is being who you are, finding who you are, being okay with who you are, and living in a magnificent way from that place and trusting that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Last year was a tremendous year of shift and change for everybody, I believe. Is there anybody here who isn't feeling like 2013 is a whole different ballgame? I mean, does anybody here like go, oh, I know what I'm doing this year. This is really clear to me. If so, I'd like your secret. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I would have to say that the shift from 2012 into 2013 was just such an energy shift. And because I work with people, I'm world-renowned, you know? Because I work with people all over, I get feedback from people all over. So I have the ability, I have the great gift of being able to see the pattern of the energy. And it's easier for me to recognize it's not just happening for me. There is a universal flow. There's a universal energy. And what that's about now is about this new energy, this new world, this new experience, and who we're going to be in it. My source essence, I channel, and I have channeled for 25 years. So my source said at the end of last year that we weren't just coming to the end of a year. We weren't just coming to the end of a chapter. We were actually finishing up a whole book. And we were starting a whole new book in 2013. And if you look at it that way, that's for so many people exactly where you're at. One of the things that we notice is that the old way of doing things doesn't work anymore. Another thing that came through really clearly was at the end of last year, like any book, you read the book, you get to understand the story, and then in the final chapters, all the loose ends are tied up. So is there anybody here who didn't experience in the last few months and even the last few weeks of 2012, old, you've used the word already, so I'll use it, old shit coming up and hitting you in the face so that you had to deal with it before you could move on? That was the whole point. You got to tie up that loose end. You've got to get rid of that story so that you can start a new story. A couple of the things that I let go of were parts of my reality that wasn't really reality at all. There's beliefs and there's values, and beliefs are just that. It's something we have chosen to believe. And so many of the beliefs we have about ourselves are gifts that we got from somebody else. You know, I've said this a million times. You're born and you don't have any reality, because when you are born, you come here and your whole reality is about somewhere else. So you are dependent on your parents, your society, your church, your culture. Very few of us create our reality from our own experience when we're born. We're dependent on everybody else. Our parents tell us the sky is blue, the grass is green, and we live with that. That's our reality from then on. That's good. Our parents say to us, if you touch that stove, you're going to burn yourself. Don't cross the street against the light. Don't beat up your brother. That one somehow I never did really take to heart. But we build our reality from what we get from other people, which means we also build our reality from when our parents say to us, oh, well, you can't do that. In my case, you can't be a farmer, you're a girl. But Dad, you know, I really wanted to be the firstborn and take over the business. Well, you can't because you're a girl, you know. And I bought that. You know, I'm a product of a generation that many of you here cannot even conceive of. When I was in high school, the options that were presented to me as a girl, not a woman, not even a young woman, a girl, were I could become a teacher, I could become a nurse, or I could become a beautician. And you know what? I didn't like any of those. I have spent a lot of my life picking apart and finding those beliefs and kicking the crap out of them because they don't work, and it's not easy. But that's what a lot of us have been doing in that last part of 2012, going, oh my gosh, I actually don't really believe that I can't do this. That's what I want you to hear. You're moving into 2013, and one of the things that you can bet on is that in 2013 you can do whatever you want. More importantly, you can be whoever you want. Because everything that was before, that was then, and this is now, it's a whole new ballgame. My sources also refer to this as a whole new operating system. You download a new operating system on your computer. It's not upgrading a program to a new version, a whole new operating system, which means all the old stuff, most of it doesn't work anymore. And there's a learning curve, and you tear your hair out because you say, I want to go back to the way it used to be because that worked for me and I knew how to do that. I just got a call from one of those friends in Canada yesterday saying, oh my God, I finally bought a Mac and you've been telling me to do that for years and now I'm scared to death of it. And I'm just like going, you gotta be kidding. This is so much easier than what you were doing before. That's where we're at. This new operating system, this new way of being in our lives is about being in our lives, not the lives that's been created for us or who we've been told that we are, or it's about really going inside and seeing, who am I? And I'll tell you a secret. For years I've taught classes on intuition, which is not a secret. The secret is that when you start to define yourself, most of us go to our logical minds. I'm a mother, I'm an ex-wife, I'm a teacher, I'm a life coach, you know, I know how to drive, that sort of thing. That's not who we are. You need to go into the inner understanding. You need to go into the right brain. You need to go into the part of you that dreams, that visions, that sees the whole of you, because your left brain only sees your past experience. When you are living in that space, being realistic, it's such a little word and it's like so revered and it's such a trap. Because when you are being realistic, that usually means you're in your left brain, your logical brain, and every decision you make is based on past experience. It's only when you're in your right brain that you can dream. It's only when you're in your right brain that you can see the whole of you. Not the physical experience you've had, but the spiritual being that you are combined. And then you can begin to own and recognize your own magnificence. When we're growing up and having this reality given to us as kids, it's not very often that someone will say to us, "You are so unbelievably magnificent." They might tell you you're pretty, or if you're a boy, they'll tell you you're strong. How often does anyone look at you when you're a kid and say, "Oh my God, there's so much potential there. It's just amazing that you can create for yourself this future that's whatever you want." They might say, "You can do whatever you want. You can become a lawyer." You know, that's changed. Women become lawyers now. Women become doctors. But it's still, be realistic. Be realistic. I'm here to tell you, realism really sucks. Because there's no vision in it. When you are being realistic and you're designing your life in that left brain logical way, especially in times like this where there's financial crisis and there's unemployment and everything is screwy, we want to go back and go through the Rolodex on the left brain and say, okay, where did I come across this before and how did I deal with it? If you don't think so, just watch any of the news channels for a while. And what you'll see is they're all trying to go back to what their idea of how to fix everything was. It's not going to work. And we, quite frankly, from a place of trust, have to be celebrating that. Wow, look at this. They're really messing it up now. Why is that happening? So we can create something different from our magnificent right brains, which are going to vision a world that works. I had this great awareness the other day, and I just want to share it with you because I guarantee you it will change the way you watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, any of them. I looked at it and I saw there's this talking head and there's this talking head, and nobody is having a dialogue. It's a diatribe. Nobody's really trying to learn anything. I can do a whole 4 hours on once you judge something, you stop learning it. So they're all in their judgment, and they don't really want to learn anything. They just want to beat the other guy up. And I realized this is exactly like professional wrestling. It really is. It's just a game. It's a sham. And we're all out there acting like it really makes a difference. Wow, look at that. Did you see that? That guy really hit that guy with that chair. Yeah, right. Hello? And just like professional wrestling, we're paying to watch it. You know? It's not going to solve anything until we, the audience, say, that's not working for me. That's old way. I need to create in my own mind, in my magnificent right brain that can dream, from the understanding that I do create my own reality, I need to start visioning what it is that I want in this world. And if you go to the place of saying, I want the Democrats to win, or I want the Republicans to win, you're still sitting in the front row of the wrestling match. Because what we really want is something that our logical mind can't conceive of because we've never had it. I came to the end of this year, this 2012, and realized I wanted to be doing more. I didn't know more what, you know? I had coaching clients, I was doing some work for friends, I'm doing readings, I'm here, I'll be here February 10th, the 9 a.m. service every other month. And that was all good, but there was something more. So I started asking myself, that's the first mistake, you know, why ask yourself? Started asking myself, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And I couldn't figure it out, and I kept thinking I was really missing something, and I was really failing because I couldn't find out what do I want to do, you know? Now, anybody here in that place? I'm not happy. There's something out there. I know there's room for it. There's all this energy happening, and I don't know what to do. And I kept asking, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? You know, my Jiminy Cricket son finally said to me, don't you ever listen to what you channel? Don't you ever listen to what you say? Because it ain't about the doing. Oh yeah, I forgot that part. It's not about the doing. It's about the being. And so I started to ask, just a couple days ago, what do I want to be? How do I want to feel? If you're into the law of attraction, it's what's the vibrational point I want to reach? You know, it's not about the job, it's about the joy. You want to go for the joy, and then the job is joyful. The job doesn't give you joy. Joy gives you the job. For 25 years, I've been telling people the doing has to flow out of the being. And here I was, hoist on my own guitar, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I started saying, how do I want to feel? As I said for years, and a lot of you have probably heard me say, the answer to how is yes. How do I want this to happen? That's not your job. The answer to how is yes. You say yes to what you want, and you let go and you allow the universe to bring it to you in whatever is the form that's best for everybody. You know, if we go with focusing on the doing, then everybody needs to be a doctor, a lawyer, a successful at whatever we do, and there will be no garbage men and no menial jobs and all that, because those aren't important. If we put the importance on the doing, we're missing so much, and it makes it so difficult, because whatever we're doing, if we're not focused on the being, we're not going to be happy. That's why you have people who have followed the rules. The perfect example is a friend of mine that I've known for a number of years, who actually followed all the rules for my generation. Went to college, married his college sweetheart, had the prerequisite 2 kids, went to work in his dad's business. His dad got him out of the army, blah, 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 blah. And when he hit 35, he came to me as a coach and said, I'm not happy. What's wrong? I said, well, it's sort of like you got a recipe when you were 14 for chocolate cake. and you followed this recipe diligently, and at 35, you've got a chocolate cake, and you're taking it out of the oven, and you're going, I don't like chocolate. There's so many of us that do that. We do what we're supposed to do and expect that we're going to be what we want to be. It doesn't work that way. So a few days ago, I started saying, who do I want to be? What's the energy that I want to be swimming in? You know, and what I came up with was, I want to be of service. I've always wanted to be of service. I want to be a teacher. There's nothing that excites me more than to share something that I know and somebody's face lights up. And you know, I did a service here one time, and there was one guy sitting out here, and he just kept going. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so awesome. I want to co-create. And the way I do that is I come in here and I go and create a container for the energy that you're bringing. And then I allow that energy to inform me as to what is wanting to come forward out of this group. I came in here thinking I was going to talk about one thing, and I'm talking about something totally different because that's what you guys wanted. So I said I want to do, you know, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I want to be this, and I want to feel this, and I want to feel like I'm making a contribution, and I want to feel like I'm having an impact, and I want to feel like I'm in the right place. And from all the work I've done in the last 25 years, I know that what that does is put you in a state of joy. When you are, I want to be following my joy, because that's when I'm energized, that's when I have something to offer. So I sat down and I said, I actually want to do more writing. You know, that's been on hold for a while. And I want to do more public speaking. And 20 minutes later, the email came in from Gary saying, would you be able to take the 10:30? And I went, I could do that. I could do that. So then I got in this, you know, we have to learn these things over and over again, because I got in this place, okay, now I got it, like, I was going to be someplace on Saturday where I was going to be sitting and have some extra time, so I thought, I can make notes, and I can really design something really, really good, and they're going to love it, and it's going to change their lives. And then I went, wait a minute. That's not how you do this. What I am coming to is the place that I've been teaching people about. You know, they say you teach what you need to learn. I'm a slow learner. I sat down and I surrendered and I said, this is what I want to feel. I want to live my life with joy. I want to live my life in joyful abundance, and I want to share that with everybody else. And you know what? I don't care what I'm doing that makes that happen. Because if I'm living in joyful abundance, I don't care if I'm a garbage collector. I don't care if I'm on, you know, well, I don't even want to be on Oprah anymore after the Lance Armstrong thing. You know, I don't want to be, you know, do I want to be world renowned? Well, heck, I've already got that. So it's about allowing the doing to flow out of the being. Who do I want to be? I want to be living in joy. I want to be a model for all of you, that you can live your life with joy, and you can trust that if that's your intention, the universe will bring to you the work that's going to support that. We all have it backwards. I've got to get the job and then I'll be happy. No, you got to be happy, and that attracts the job. And happy's a choice. You can get up in the morning and say, I'm saying yes to this day. That's been my practice for the last month or so. I'm saying yes to this day. And I am expecting that this day is going to bring me something fabulous. This day is going to give me a gift. And I just setting my intention right now that I see it and I recognize it and I run with it. it's amazing how differently your day goes when you wake up. And I found that I now have been waking up like a couple minutes after midnight, and I look at my digital clock and go, oh, okay, I'm saying yes to this day. When you start that out, when you start out with yes, it opens up all the possibilities. It's about trusting that it's not about getting it right. 99% of the mistakes we make are because we were trying to get something right. And what right is, you don't know what right is, because all you've got right now is this reality that really can't give you the vision of where you want to be. So when you can let go and say, I want what brings me joy, so that I can share that with somebody else, so that I can be a model for other people that it works. And then you step back and allow the universe to bring it to you. I teach a lot of people who work with the law of attraction, and I teach a class called I Could Manifest Anything If I Just Knew What I Wanted. Sound familiar? The problem with that they have is that they're looking at the means to the end. They're looking at how they're going to get what they want. I have a classic story that some of you have heard of taking 18 months where I was focused on really needing a new roof on my house, a new driveway, and I needed the house painted. And it was way beyond what I could afford at the time. Well, I couldn't afford it now either, but I was really practicing, manifesting the money to do this. Well, just see that I was working on how do I get the money to do this? It wasn't about the money. I was hung up on I had to have the money to do that. No, I wanted the house painted, the roof and the driveway. And this was such a beautiful gift from the universe, because I tell this story all the time. Finally, one morning, I was having coffee with my son, and I said, we're going about this all wrong. We're focused on the how. I'm looking at how do I get this? Well, I get the money, and then I go, that's the how. I really want it. I think it will be good for me and for the neighborhood and everything. I want this, and I'm saying yes to having it. I'm saying yes to having it. I don't care how it happens. We get hung up in the how. We think the only way to do something is the way we've always done it. That's that logical brain. It's not your friend. It is if you're cooking or driving, but for the most part, it's I always tell my clients, your left brain is the production department. The right brain is the design department. So you create what you want in the left brain, and the right brain, in the part that can vision and dream and connect and sees you as a magnificent spiritual being. And then you hand that off to the left brain and says, okay, now do it. Or in this case, you go to your right brain, you vision what you want. I want this house painted and a roof and a driveway, and that's what I want. And I'm offering that up to the universe, and I'm saying, yes, that's what I want. And I started in that morning thinking about creating the energy, creating the space of what's it going to feel like. I said to David, what color shingles do we want? What kind of driveway? Do we want blacktop? Do we want pavers? What color are we going to paint the house? And I took my whole focus to having it and manifesting, not getting it. And an hour later, the mailman came, and I got the notice, the Minnetonka memo, and some of you have heard this, and in there was an announcement that they were doing a program, a grant program for rehab on houses in the area. And to qualify, You had to be, as I've always said, older than dirt and broke. I qualified. I just looked at it and I went, oh my God, this is the universe. I mean, it was almost like the universe said, thank God she finally got it. We're so sick of hearing about that money. I went and got my tax return. I went and got blah, blah, blah. I rushed over to the Minnetonka City Hall, handed this stuff in, and she said, oh yeah, you qualify. I said, great. I said, okay, now, I just wanted to make sure, because I know it's limited and I wanted to get in, but I didn't really look at all the details. I said, when do I start paying it back, and what's the interest rate and all that? You know, it's a low interest government loan. And she looked at me and she said, you really were excited, weren't you? I said, yeah. She says, well, prepare to get more excited. It's a grant. You don't pay it back. It amortizes over 10 years. You live in your house for 10 years and it's paid off. It was so hysterically funny that the universe had such a great sense of humor. As soon as I took the money out of the equation, as soon as I gave up the idea that I had to have the money, in 4 hours, I had what I wanted. Not only that, but when they painted the house, they discovered there was lead in the window frames. Not in the house, but in the window frames. And I was totally distraught over that. Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden I went, okay, I'm just assuming that this is happening for a reason. Handle it. I don't understand it. I'm saying yes to it. Handle it. Well, it turns out that they did have a program that would subsidize replacing those windows and just add it on to the other grant, and I didn't have to pay it back. So I not only got my roof, my driveway, my house painted, but I got new windows, which this year, boy, am I glad, because those windows were from 1959. I had blocked all this for so long because I thought it had to work the way I wanted it to work. Was this a miracle? If you want to look at it that way, yeah. If you want to look at it another way, it was just a really great way to teach Lynda that you're focusing on the wrong thing. You know? The hardest part of all of this is to actually trust it. To actually believe that you are important enough, that you are powerful enough, that something like that can happen in your life. I've been having this kind of miracle in my life for 50 years, and I still go, who, me? Hopefully this is the year where I finally go, yeah, I can do that. I can make that happen. And so can you. But don't expect that you're not going to screw it up or doubt it. It's part of the process. It's why we're here. It's why we have free will. If we came into this world absolutely knowing everything that we've learned at this point, it doesn't count. What really counts is that moment when you are beating your head against the wall like I was for 18 months every night writing on God's side of the ledger. This is the stuff I can't handle, God. This is the stuff I can. And on God's side of the ledger was the roof, the driveway, and the painting the house. Every night for 18 months I'd written it down there. When you get to the point that you look at that and go, oh, that's what I want. I'm focusing on getting money. That's what I really want. When the light bulb comes on, you have free will. The angels sing. Because when you make that choice to believe, you make that choice to trust, you just go like, as my granddaughter says, whenever I do anything she likes, she goes, if I criticize her or do something she's not fond of, it's like, you know. So And here's the thing the real secret that I learned. I can ask for help in trusting. It's not a test. You know, one of the great quotes in all the channeling I've ever done, I love, is where my source said, leap of faith, leap of faith. Who the hell made that up? She goes, why jump? Walk down. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You're trying to prove something to yourself. We know who you are. That just cracked me up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to just throw myself out there and trust, and then the universe is going to go, oh wow, look at that. Like I'm going to fake it out. You're trying to convince yourself. The biggest problem we have is that we don't trust ourselves. And this year, the energy is so powerful and so strong and so deep. I wish I had a buck for every person I've talked to in the last 3 weeks who has said, I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I feel like I'm just sort of like floating, but underneath, there's all this stuff happening. Sound familiar? It is. It's true. You are supported in ways that you have never been supported before because there's energy available to us that we have not been equipped to accept in the past. People are calling it new energy. It's not new. It's always been there. It's just that we reached the point that we recognize it, and we're starting to feel it, and we can access it. And what is that energy? It's an energy that's creative. And it's challenging us to create something different because our energy created the end of the last book. We got to the place in the universe, in the world, where enough of us said, this isn't working, I want something different. Okay. Then it all starts to go like this. You know, if something's not, it's sort of like, I'm a knitter. And I hate to rip out. But when something is really not going to work, you have to rip it out and start over. And that's what's happening in our world right now. We are not going to be able to, as you know, the quote goes, we can't solve these problems we've created with the same tools that we use to create them. We have to start seeing things in a different way. We have to start seeing the solution rather than the problem. We certainly know what the problem is. We spend more time arguing about what the problem is than trying to see what the solution is. And the way for us as spiritual beings to deal with that is not to look at, okay, there's this problem, and how do we fix it? That way lies madness. That's the quicksand. It's not how do we fix it. It's my intention, my vision, my goal is that this problem is fixed. And you reach out to the creative energy of the universe and say, I want to fix this. How do we do that? Show us how to do that. Make it happen. You know, it's like Captain Kirk, make it so. You know, I want this problem to be gone. Universe, make it so. And I will support, I will work together with you. We don't have to do it ourselves. You don't get extra credit if you do it alone. You don't get extra credit if it's hard. Actually, you do get extra credit if it's joyful, and you do it with other people, and you enroll other people in their own joy, and you trust that there is nothing that you and the universe can't resolve. That's the whole thing. I was telling my son on the way over here today, we have a perfect I love the way that the universe has such a sense of humor. It's given me this perfect little example of trusting exactly what I'm talking about. He had surgery a few months ago, and he had a couple seizures as a result of the surgery, and he's on seizure medication till March. Thank you, God. He gets off in March. And he can't drive. So I have been driving him everywhere. We were such an example of this, ask for what you want, not how. Because he would need to go to a certain place, and we would get in the car, and then he would tell me how I should drive there. That didn't go over very well. We've worked that out. I pointed out to him that the weather is cold and it's a long walk to Barnes & Noble from my house. And now he says, when someone says, your mother's driving you, he says, yeah, I say drive, and she says, how far? But it was just so clear to me that how difficult it was for him to get in there and not feel like he knew how, and we live in an area where you can get to any place about 8 different ways. And I could feel it. I could feel it when he'd go, and then he might say, I would have taken 169, and I would say something really matronly and intelligent, like, well, you're not driving, are you? So, But it was such a perfect example of this. He just wants to get where he's going. Tell me where you want to go. I'll take you. It's the same thing for the universe. Don't tell me how to get there. It's like if you go into a restaurant and you order the specialty, you order this fabulous dish, you don't go in the kitchen and tell the chef how to cook it. You trust that he's going to give you what you wanted. Why would you think that Spirit, God, the universe, the one, the whole, whatever name you want to give it, isn't as good as the chef at your local restaurant? If you order something online, you just click and expect it's going to show up. You trust. You don't beat your head against the wall. If you do start to worry about, I wonder if this is going to come, I wonder if it's going to make it on time, you create such a mess that it probably doesn't. If you can trust the U.S. Postal Service, I believe you can trust God. And if David can trust me to drive him to work, I think I can trust the universe to show me where I'm supposed to be going. Years ago, I was given 4 rules or guidelines for creating what I wanted. And I want to share these with you in closing. You don't have to write it down. If you want a copy, I have copies in the other room. The first thing you need to do is create the space. If you want something new in your life, you have to get rid of the old energy. You have to open yourself up to the idea that you want something new, and you have to create the vision of something new. The second thing you have to do is follow your joy. It doesn't do any good to say, I want to create a new job, and then start to look at, well, what could I do? What am I trained to do? Follow your joy. Essen said one time, don't look for work, you'll find it. Look for joy. Open yourself to joy and let your joyful energy draw that to you. So the second thing is follow your joy. The third thing is ask for what you want. If you're looking for a job and you're saying, I just want anything that I can make, pay my bills, stop right there, because that's all you'll get. Dream, David's always saying, dream bigger dreams. If you're in a job you don't like, or you're living in a house that you don't like, or you're in a relationship that you don't like, it's about starting to create the space which is in your own mind, opening the door to the possibility that it can change. It's looking for what will really bring you joy, and asking for what you really want. You don't want a new job. You want a fulfilling, enriching, rewarding job. Ask for what you want. And the fourth thing is the hardest. Don't be attached to the outcome. It's called surrender. It's called, okay, I told you what I want, and I am just brilliant enough to realize that the universe, God, Spirit, whatever name you want to give it, has so much more creative energy than I do, that I'm going to leave it up to you how this comes. I got a roof, my house painted, a driveway, and new windows. Because I let go of how it had to look. It's about how you want to feel. And I can tell you what I felt was loved and supported and brilliant. I thought I was like, wow, I've got this figured out. And then you forget again and again. And that's what life is about. So I would simply say to you, this new year is magnificently powerful. And the reason it is because you are all magnificently powerful spiritual beings. And you're ready for this energy. And this is about coming from the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect and bringing this together so that you are living your physical life. You know, as I said, okay, right, you're a spiritual being having a human experience, but it's about the human experience. That's why you're here. You're not here to learn how to leave. You're here to bring that together so that you are living in your joy of understanding that you are a spiritual being and you are creating this magnificent world. And you can create it magnificently if you simply tell the universe what you want. I want this world to look better than this. I don't care how you do it. Show me how I can help. And then get out of the way. Thank you. So.